What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Geek Mense. Shoot this shit. I am here again. I'm here again with Clyde Beech. Oh my gosh, this has been a crazy ride, man. I've been enjoying doing all of these episodes so much. How you doing?
I've been doing great. Sorry about like we're recording in the evening for a change. Normally we do it in the daytime.
Gotta switch it up. We gotta switch it up. I gotta
Switch
just
it
make
up,
sure that my
yeah.
light is. Sometimes being a black bruh in the night doesn't do great with the lighting.
Dude.
And just like that, we solve racism. Anyway. All right, so we got a lot to talk about today. So I texted you in the morning. Spider-Man, what's this? No Way Home trailer has
Yeah.
just dropped, and people are losing their minds over it and everything. Oh my god! Wait, is Marvel infecting our life? Is Marvel infecting our thing? They don't want us to talk about this trailer.
I think they're controlling our because apparently that was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday it leaked on Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. I read about the leak, but I didn't catch the leak. And obviously you got
Nah, me
trolls.
too. Me
You
too.
got trolls out
I'm just
there.
wondering now. The trailer's out, so why are they stopping us from communicating? Every time I say Spider Man,
They wanna cut us exactly.
yeah.
You're right. It could be the FBI listening in. The
Oh my
CIA.
gosh. Hi FBI, how you doing? Anyway, so yeah, as we were saying, what did you think about the trailer?
Dude, I gotta admit, I lost it a bit. I I tried to stay away from all the hype. From the
Yeah.
initial hype of anything Spider-Man. I try not to get, although I know we talk about it all the time, to get too hyped up about new properties that come up, just so that I can manage my own expectations, so that I go in without expecting too
Mm.
much. I prefer to be pleasantly surprised. Look, often my predictions are completely wrong and off, and I make all these speculations. It kind of happened with Loki. Early on in our podcast, we were chatting about Loki, and I made these speculations, and I was hoping that it would be like a King Loki at the very end, and all these things. And everyone was speculating Kang. So when I actually got Kang at the end, I think I was a little bit disappointed. So that's why I kind of tried to step away with this whole Spider-Man thing. Like, this trailer blew my mind. I didn't know they would go through with it and legit have Spider-Man slash Peter Parker as some kind of pariah. People knowing his identity. People um, um, boycotting him on the street. There were some dope Easter eggs in there. Like the one main thing. I don't know if where you want to jump in on this, um, was the Mephisto tie-in.
Yeah.
Because there's literally someone with a poster and it's like devil in disguise or something. And
uh
if you're honest about it, this does feel a lot like he's not married or anything, but it does feel a little bit like a One More Day plot line, doesn't it?
yeah, no, because well, I mean, it's one more day plus Spider Island because
Yeah,
what happened on Spider Island is that people figure out who Peter Parker is. He goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange casts a spell, and people can't put it all together or figure out that Peter Parker is Spider
he's
Man,
Spider-Man.
which is
Yeah.
what I predicted they were gonna do when they brought in Doctor Strange to this thing.
Look,
And at least finally he'll start putting the mask on because that used to irritate me so much in the other Spider Man movies in the MCU because I'll be the first to say this. I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think we've ever gotten a legit Spider-Man movie. Even the Sam Raimi movies, they were light on what Spider-Man is.
yeah,
Like if you look at something like Into the Spider-Verse and you look at the Peter Parker there, that Peter Parker is depressed, that Peter Parker is overweight, but he's still like a jovial person, kind of,
yeah.
or he still uses humor to deflect his situation. And like the Sam Raimi Spider Man, he didn't really do that. And then we come to Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield told some jokes, but those movies were not so great either. The second one was stuffed and convoluted as hell.
Yeah.
And then we get to the MCU and they just make him Iron Man's sidekick. So I feel like they haven't really gotten, at least the Spider-Man that I grew up with. I
Yeah.
don't think I've gotten that in movies.
I
So
do think I would say, like you said, there wasn't a good Spider-Man movie yet. Into the Spider-Verse
no, not a
was,
good one. I think a good. I think is subjective. I just think true to the comic
oh,
book
a
character
true,
because
yeah,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you look at Captain America or Iron Man, that almost you could look at that and say that's the exact same character from the comic books, or it's come to a point where they have taken what the movie is and put it in the comic books.
yeah,
But like a one-to-one example is Captain America. Captain America in the MCU, Steve Rogers Captain America in
yeah.
particular in the MCU is akin to Captain America in the comic books.
You, you,
Yeah, he's
you,
got some ultimate elements to him, but is like 616 version. You can put them side by side.
yeah.
Whereas I don't think we've gotten that with Spider Man.
I think that's actually a great analogy. Like the comic book Spider-Man still feels, you're absolutely right. He still feels very, very much different to the on-screen Spider-Man. Like in Raimi, they got, but Raimi was more like old timey, like it's set in a contemporary world, but it was like old timey original Spider-Man. Even the way people talk, Aunt May, is she an angel? That's not stuff real people say, and the
Yeah,
way
but I
people,
still feel like he was funny in those because I read those 60s comics. Like
yeah,
I was such a fanatic that I read the very first I read Amazing Fantasy 15 and I read
exactly.
Amazing Spider-Man 1 up until 720 or what I forgot where it ends. And I read like I was such a Spider-Man fanatic. I read like all the multiple runs. I read Friendly Neighborhood. I even read like the Spider-Man's Worldwide. I even
Spider-Man.
yeah, I even read like the crazy web of Spider-Man or whatever. It was
Yeah,
like some spin-off stuff. So I read a lot of Spider-Man. Like
yeah.
that was my guy. Peter Parker was my guy hardcore. So I mean, even in the Stan Lee, books, he was still making jokes. I think my biggest issue with the Sam Raimi one is that he was not funny to me, or he was not funny enough. Like
No,
he'd
no, no.
have a
He
moment.
wasn't. He wasn't a necessarily funny Spider-Man. Like Garfield was quite funny as Spider-Man, but more like a sarcastic kind of humor. But he
Yeah,
wasn't great as a Peter. Like he had good romance, but he wasn't as awkward as a Parker
yeah.
would be, as a Peter would be.
Yeah, and this is not to say that Tom Holland doesn't have a good balance of those characters because I think he does. I just think the way they've written him, they
Yeah.
kind of gave him the same formula as every other character in the MCU, and Spider-Man doesn't function like that. That's what
The,
I'm saying.
the way, yeah, that's my big problem. The way he's so tied in with Iron Man.
Yeah,
Like even if you read him in the comic books, he's not that tied in with with Iron Man. He's actually closer to Captain America. He
mm,
idolizes Captain America and sort of grew up with Captain America from his comic book, or based on the comic book. But I suppose that's subject to change. It's the same like how storylines are becoming like amalgamated. And talking about
I think
amalgamated,
he does have in the comic books he did have respect for Tony, but it wasn't like he was Tony's sidekick.
yeah,
Like that's the other thing. And I mean, I get it. He's 16 in this universe, whatever, whatever. But it's just the thing that defines Spider-Man for me is his paranoia
yeah,
because he was always worried about if people found out who he was. And as we can see in this trailer, it's becoming a problem. And
yeah.
that's one thing I thought in the trailer. Why would you be going back to school? That's the time when you become a hippie in the woods.
That's
Like
that's what I was like. He's walking back like through the hallways, and people are taking pictures of him. Like there are things that need to be explained. We're not even at the end of the trailer yet, but how how I picture it, or what I picture is happening. Ooh, my laptop's not charging. What I picture happening is that what Doctor Strange is doing or did, or what his spell did, is again, I was thinking of it. It reminded me of a few different shows that exist. It's Into the Spider Verse, like sort of
yeah,
plot line. The we mentioned it now. The one more day
Yeah.
storyline, and there was another storyline that I was thinking of. I think it's late. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. But basically, what I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Doctor Strange did or is doing, and this is just me speculating, is that he took two universes, sort of like into the Spider Verse, and made two universes collide into each other. I think the multiverses potentially, I'm not sure, I could be completely wrong, had the multiverses not been untethered, the spell was almost like what. Oh, Rick and Morty is actually another example of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If the timelines weren't unraveling, you could just transpose him into another universe where what he wanted was fixed, as opposed
Yeah.
to what you're saying with Spider Island, where he's actually, maybe that was his intention, to just wipe people's memories, and
Mm.
Spider-Man and his Peter Parker persona sort of become the Clark Kent glasses analogy, like you mentioned, that happened in Spider Island.
Yeah.
Where people just can't put two and two together. Um,
Mm.
but what I think happened is that Doctor Strange squished two opposing multiverses, or two opposing dimensions, into one, and they started overlapping, and they overlapped in such a way that alternate Spider-Man's villains gained existence in the current universe, if that makes sense. So it's actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's two. So I'm imagining what happened is two or more universes merged into one, and there's overlapping themes of that, and maybe even like you see him jumping in the one scene, and it's in the mirror dimension, and maybe that's
Mm.
reflections of these different dimensions, or when he's running on the train and the train splits. Is that just representing Doctor Strange mirror dimension, or is that representing potential outcomes, like the what if, um, different alternatives of the same event happening simultaneously?
Yeah, possibly. And then I wonder if we're gonna get a train reference because every Spider-Man property is referencing when he stops the train in Spider-Man 2. So I wonder if
Yeah,
he's just gonna have a random train stop reference. I think that
yeah,
would be fun.
exactly.
But I
What
think
do
like
you
the thing
think?
for me that's I'm thinking about is, I mean, maybe those are visions. Maybe Doctor Strange is showing him visions of what will happen if he goes back to the regular world and people are taking photos of him or
Oh, so
something.
yeah, yeah. So instead of it actually being like in show, in shot, it's sorry, I'm just fiddling with my laptop cable here.
No,
Yeah, so instead of it being
I
like
know. Technical
actual things,
difficulties.
it's
Difficulties.
potentials. But where are the Spider-Man variants? Like, I'm sure I might have seen Doctor Strange variants in there, because that Doctor Strange on the train, he didn't, he looked different. He was in different clothing when he was
Yeah.
fighting Spider-Man on the train. Or that was just
I didn't notice that. Maybe they are fighting. Maybe that's an evil doctor. You think, but that's also another thing that's worrying me about this movie. There's a lot going on. Like, like
and
let's
like,
just get to the. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 go for it. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and like the maximum a movie can be. We saw in Endgame, it's like 3 hours, and a Spider-Man movie is normally an hour and a half, 90 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But that's sort of the Spider-Man. Like, how much are they throwing at us? We saw goblins, pumpkin bomb.
Yeah,
We saw Doc Ock. Well, that was
yeah,
exciting. Um,
yeah.
there's speculation that the lightning in one scene is Electro, and we know Jamie Foxx is in
Mm,
here, so I'm assuming that shot with the lightning coming down. People are saying, like, I've been seeing things online, that Sandman might be in here,
yeah.
um, and then so what if the other Spider-Man do cameos, sort of the way they did a cameo in Into the Spider-Verse?
Well, the thing is for me that the thing is for me is that they would have to, because I'm hearing talk of these are variants on those characters. So it may be the same actors, but it's not the same versions of those characters.
Yeah.
But like for them to have the beef that they have, and especially with the in the trailer when Alfred Molina's Doc Ock says, "Hello, Peter." Like, first off, we don't see which Peter he's talking to. One, two, like it would be random for him to just know who Peter Parker is in this MCU universe because he hasn't seen his face. Like, unless
And Peter Parker in these trailers had at least 3 different suits on. There was
yeah. So
there
I'm
was
just
at
saying.
least
Also,
3 different suits. There was a weird black suit, which apparently, according to Twitter, is a magician suit or something like that. There's some, I don't know
yeah.
if it's legit publicity art or if it's just fan art. But there's like a
Mm,
black and gold magician suit. Then he's got the
yeah.
when Doc Ock shows up, he puts on the spider armor, the Iron Spider suit, which I'm skeptical about. Like, yeah, which I have issues with, which I've had since the movies. Like you mentioned it now as well. I don't like the fact that Peter needs a tech suit. And then he's got his
Mm.
classic suit as well in most of the trailer, especially when he's swinging with
Well,
MJ.
classic-ish because it comes from Far From Home, right? It's the black and red. I mean, it's not a bad-looking
Oh yeah,
suit,
the
but
black and red suit. Yeah, he doesn't have the blue
I still
suit.
think the red and blue is the best, though. I still like that
What do
red
you
and
think
blue.
about that decision to make his suit like canonically almost black? I know the artists originally, when they created Spider-Man, they wanted his suit to be black and red, but they filled the highlights with blue, and people misread it and thought the suit was blue with dark tones as opposed to the opposite way around.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, because if you look at that like that, oh, like first off, I just want to say though quickly, unless they're saying that Doc Ock is racist and he thinks all white people look alike, that's the only way that can work.
Oh, but the point I was getting on was sort of on your point there. Like, what if the variants all just look like Tom Holland? But
Yeah.
but it's like you get a Tom Holland at some dimensional thing who's got a Raimi suit on, one that's got a Amazing Spider-Man, a Garfield suit on, you know?
I wonder, maybe they'll do that. And getting back to that suit thing, now that I think about it, when I read Amazing Fantasy, yeah, that suit actually does look black. Like Amazing Fantasy 15. It's like it looked like a very dark blue, so maybe they were
Yes.
trying to bring that back. But I prefer the red and blue. The red and
Dude,
blue for me
that
is
is,
just I
and
think
and
it's
it
the
was like,
best.
and because he's like a kid from the ground, like I know we're not American, but people also bonded with the idea because when he has his suit on, he's in the red, white, and blue,
Mm,
as opposed to
mm.
it,
I mean,
you know,
yeah,
he
yeah.
he he, he
I mean,
shared,
hey, I mean they've done suit redesigns all the time. I mean, one of the new suits from Insomniac Spider-Man's PS4 with that white spider symbol at the back, that
yeah,
was also a pretty cool design. So, and Spider-Man has had multiple suits over the years. So
yeah,
I'll probably be okay with the design. I just think the tech suit thing, especially the fact that it's Iron Man like now, especially now it does the whole
yeah,
thing.
Nano.
I'm not a big fan of that. So, but anyway, I mean, this is the Spider-Man we
What would
got.
be
I
cool?
haven't given up.
What would be cool if they did
Sorry.
a Raimi shot where they do a hyper zoom in? Like in every Raimi shot, when something goes in, they have to show the mechanics. If the suit's falling
Yeah.
on him or forming over him, and the little nanobots all look like spiders, I'd like
Oh,
that.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I forgive that.
Sorry, I think it's because I'm
But
storyboarding right now, so it's like specific shots are like.
oh yeah, man. I gotta learn how to do that actually one day. But that being said, so yeah, I've come to accept this version of Spider-Man. I know it's not my Spider-Man. I wanted Spectacular Spider-Man on the screen. If anybody remembers that show, I was hoping for more of that kind of feel with this Spider-Man, but it doesn't seem like it's happening. So he's not a bad Spider-Man. I think he's the most comic close, like it's close to the accurate representation of what Spider-Man is. I
Yeah,
just don't think they've written him well in the sense of that Spider-Man because he's way too dependent. Like Spider-Man is an independent character.
yeah.
Like he becomes Spider-Man before Iron Man or anybody steps into the picture. So I would have liked him to have more of his own identity, type of thing in
I
the MCU.
I feel the same thing. How do you feel about an MJ whose name is not Mary Jane?
I'm over it. I'm over it now. It's
Yeah.
Like I understand why people are mad, but at the same time, they've changed so much. Like if that's the thing that's concerning you, they've changed so much with this Spider-Man that I'm like, if you're worried about that, I don't know what to
No,
tell
but
you, man.
I don't
Because
care about the casting and stuff. I think what's her name? Zendaya is great. She's fantastic.
Zendaya.
Zendaya, just her name is not Mary Jane. It actually bothers me.
No, I understand why it bothers you because it doesn't make sense. Like they should have just done it. I don't know why they didn't do
Yeah,
it.
they
Like
still call her
her having the
MJ.
same
I
initials
suppose they
doesn't make
still call
sense.
her MJ, but like just
I
name her
mean, they
Mary
call her
Jane.
MJ, but like, yeah, they should have just said Mary Jane. Like, it's
Yeah,
not that hard of a. But anyway,
uh,
yeah. I think that being said, though, I am looking forward to this. I'm gonna be in the theater for this. I'm gonna check it out,
yeah. This
and
is
I hope it's good. Again, I still think that the Raimi movies aren't as good as people say they are, but that's just me. So I know I'm gonna probably get yelled at a lot for saying that.
I don't think they're as bad as people. Go back and watch it. They kind of hold up, but they hold up in the funniest way. Like if you watch the movie, understanding that it's not taking itself too seriously, but at the same time taking itself too seriously, then it's an enjoyable watch. But
Although I will say this: William Defoe was brilliant as the Goblin.
let's
I
hope he's
thought he was
back.
amazing.
I thought I heard his voice. Did you think you heard his voice?
Yeah, there was a lot. Was his laugh.
Chewing
Right.
all the scenery. Like
Yeah, no,
in this case with
yeah.
someone like Green Goblin or even Hobgoblin, like I don't know why people are predicting that Ned might be the Hobgoblin, but
Well, I mean, in the comic books, I think it was his dad at some stage,
or some
and then he became the Hobgoblin afterwards. But they didn't set that up, so I don't think they're gonna do that.
yeah yeah. But in this case, I'll be happy if they do the ultimate variation of Goblin, where he's like more like a mutant, where he's an experiment. I wouldn't mind that.
Mm. It
The
would be
big
a
guy.
better design. Yeah, it would be a better design than, and they already kind of mastered it with the Hulk, so that would be
Yeah,
cool to see. But I don't know if they're gonna do that though. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna update the Goblin suit from the Raimi movies, maybe make it more comic book accurate and make
yeah,
it armor like or something like that.
yeah.
Yo, okay, Sony, we done talking about Spider Man. Sorry, yo.
Yeah. It's just because we're bringing up too much Marvel and MCU, and Sony's getting jealous.
We done, Sony. We done. Yo, we can see you don't want us to talk about it. Yes. Anyway, as I said, good trailer. Hyped to see it. Let's move on to another trailer. This is pure MCU now, so Sony mustn't get involved. Let's talk Eternals for a bit.
Oh
So
yeah,
I saw Eternals. Isn't it crazy that the Spider-Man movie is way more complicated than the Eternals movie?
more complicated than the trailer, and I think that's just based on the fact that like the Eternals are they're like the Guardians of the Galaxy were. They were these things
Mm,
and these characters that sat on the fringe that even like someone like us who read a decent amount of comics are still iffy about like what does it mean? Because literally like if you want to put it like in a biblical sense, right?
yeah.
According to Earth, like celestials, right, are like gods, and even they have
Mm,
one who's above them. I think he's literally called the
mm,
one who's above or something like that. They have this godlike character. And then you got the Celestials, and then the Celestials experimented and created three life forms like the Deviants, the Eternals. So the Eternals are like gods, and the Deviants are like demons, and then you've got the humans in between. This whole Eternals thing, it's a setting up which is weird. It's almost like a deistic or deicism or biblical sort of mentality because you've got um, the Celestials, which are literally like gods, and
mm,
they they experimented on pre conscious life forms like They kind of imply it's like cavemen or before the next evolution, and they interfered in that evolution. Then they created the
Mm,
Eternals out of that, and the Eternals are
mm,
like the Supermen or angels of the
mm,
Marvel universe, and the deviants are sort of like the demons, and then the humans sit in between. But what you discover later on is that all humans have a X gene, a X gene
mm,
inside of them, to awaken when the time is right. So yeah, I since watching that, like I got that trailer, like gave me some predictions. It's like, first of all, they're only allowed to interfere when deviants are involved, right? Or
yeah.
interfere with humans when deviants are involved. Because every now and then the celestials will just wipe out their creations and start over if they don't think things are going the way they wanted it. And so I
Mm.
think with Thanos' snap, remember, like the Infinity Gauntlet's been snapped how many times on Earth? Twice on Earth,
3 times.
3 times on Earth. Now imagine the amount of energy um, radiating from Earth out of 3 snaps, because they tracked Thanos literally from his one snap because it sent a pulse through the universe. So
Yeah.
I imagine that might be things that attract villains or intergalactic villains, maybe even Galactus, to Earth in future oncomings and stuff. Um, but maybe the internals are just the MCU's way of bringing the X-Men into commonplace, more than being like interdimensional or things like that. Is that they talk about the emergence is happening, and
Mm.
maybe the deviants are there to stop this emergence. Like they've got 7 days before the world will be wiped. So my theory, so I had this weird theory, and I'm probably completely off basis, but in a way, like Eternals are the first or the ultimate. They're almost like in Omega level, because even Apocalypse, he gets his powers from the Celestials. So
Mm. But now the thing is that if they're gonna do that, a lot of the stuff that they want to do with X Men, like Magneto's background, that's gonna be tricky.
because of
Cause
timelines,
yeah, so I mean, he can't be mad at humans if he's born now. Like
yeah,
the
that's
thing
the
about like being an X, because like the thing about being an X Men now, especially with influencer culture and the internet and social media, you'll be a rock star. I mean, you can shoot lasers out your eyes, you can fly. Like,
unless people have the, because here's the messed up thing about Eternals, like because what you're saying is kind of tying into um, the quasi concept. The backstory of Eternals is like almost exactly the quasi backstory. Like I was watching this trailer and I was like, okay, so you have these like this unknown entity who placed godlike beings to oversee and guide the evolution of mankind. They're not allowed to intervene, but they can. They govern mankind to build civilizations. Then, when their hubris or they
mm,
become obsolete, their powers get wiped out just for at some predisposed event in the future to cause the powers to kick in and new beings to emerge, which is very Quasi-esque in a way, you know? And
well, hey, great artists you. No,
plus thingy, what's his name? Not Black Knight. Um, what is the main one? He shoots golden beams out of his eyes and he can
oh,
fly.
what is his name again? I forgot it. I made a
Uh,
joke about that on my Instagram because
yeah,
that's the first thing I saw. That's the first thing I thought when I saw him. I was like, "This is Superman."
yeah, yeah. But
But yeah,
look, these things happen. But yeah, I think it's an interesting way. Um, like my brain is stuck on this idea that this is a way for X-Men to enter, and deviants are actually technically here to stop X-Men from emerging or mutants from emerging. Um, makes, like you said, it makes it tricky for Magneto, or characters like Magneto, and maybe even
Unless they do some trickery and some fancy footwork where maybe they make a modern day, internment camp, and the Celestials like disguise, not the Celestials, sorry, the Deviants disguise themselves as like humans, and they
yeah,
keep a bunch of these people, and then they kind of like liken it to what it was in 19, what was it, 45 or
1940, 44, 43, yes.
yeah, something like that, and then they kind of liken it to that.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The other thing is like, um, he could have been enslaved or whatever, and now his powers manifest, and now he wants to fight out. But it wouldn't make sense. I suppose Kevin Feige and those guys always figure out a way. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably complicating the the ideology too, or the mythology of it too much. But I thought it would be an interesting way for that to happen, because other than that, what purpose would an Eternals movie really serve? I suppose
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
within the context of the MCU, because now
yeah.
you're literally introducing gods, oh, and you're literally giving mankind, telling everybody on Earth, your species is manufactured by extraterrestrial um, beings. You know, we've seen nowhere. We've seen, okay, in this storyline, Ego was a living planet. You
Yeah.
know, so Ego is probably also, he claims to be so he's the wandering celestial, or he's like a hermit, celestial that separated himself from everything to do his own thing. Maybe even doesn't know that others exist. Even though nowhere,
Possible.
even though nowhere is technically, from Guardians of the Galaxy, is a celestial skull or head.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'd like, sometimes these things you just need to wait and see what they have planned for you, especially if it's such a.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but like the other thing is like people asking those questions and they were like, you never were involved in any of the events. And then a lot of black people are looking at Brian Tyree Henry's character and they're just like, so colonialism, slavery, nothing.
Deviants were not involved. As long as,
No,
no, but, and that's the weird thing. Like, there's also like a gray area. Like, I suppose Thanos isn't eternal technically, because
well, isn't he a deviant? In the comic books, he's a deviant, right?
no, he's not. Technically, he's not. Both his parents are eternals. He's an eternal that was born with a deviant gene. That's why his mother wanted to
Oh,
kill him. So he's like,
ooh.
so he's like a mistake. He's like, and that's what sort of drove him to have this twisted mentality, basically in there, because he's got an eternal brother, Eros.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
so his brother looks normal. So he was basically judged on his appearance because of his eternal genes, because of his deviant
Well, he
genes.
kind of solidified it by trying to wipe out half the
Yeah,
universe.
so that's my point. Why didn't the other internal? He was on Earth. If they were on Earth, like they said in the trailer, for 7,000 years, this dude is gonna wipe out half of the whole universe's existence, right? And yes, maybe he's one of your eternal brethren, but he does have the deviant gene. I'll be like, gray area. Let's stop him.
Yeah. Well, you know what they needed? They needed T'Challa Star-Lord.
Yo, dude, I think we need to jump into that next.
Yeah, no, I mean speaking of stopping Thanos, T'Challa managed to do it with some diplomacy in another
What
universe.
was what was his
So yeah,
what
there's
was his
also
what was his
Marvel What
words?
If.
The best Sometimes a good argument is the best weapon you can have in your arsenal. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, no, Marvel What If episode 2. So, I mean, speaking more Marvel stuff, I saw that episode, man, shouts out to Chadwick Boseman. That was a fantastic
Dude.
performance. RIP.
And I don't know if he knew he was. Oh well, obviously he knew he was sick. But like, it's as if this was like like I actually got a little bit like frog in my throat watching that episode because it was almost like a perfect send off for both a character. Like even though his legacy, like we spoke about the last time, the mantle might not be done. The Black Panther mantle or Chitala still existing in the universe, but for that actor and that role, like for a dude to go to space and be diplomatic and effortlessly start changing the world without without having to even try. It just proves his nature, you know. And I love that. I love how he changed people around him. He was
Mm,
so present. He was so much a king that, or well, I suppose his father's still alive, but he was still a king, and and a natural leader that people changed. Yondu changed around him. Thanos, the biggest change of all. Nebula was a whole change. What did he call her? Noob Noob, or no, she called him Cha Cha.
Cha-cha. Cha-cha.
Yeah.
I think they had something going on in that universe. I
No, no,
think
no,
they were
I
doing
think
the
that was
black and blue
strongly
thing.
implied. I think that was that was
No,
definitely
man,
strongly implied.
that was my favorite. That's been my favorite What If episode so far. And the one thing that I loved about it is that it was totally different from everything in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like the only thing they
Yeah.
had in common was the beginning, but even that they switch on their head because Star Lord is this famous bounty hunter.
Exactly, exactly. They know exactly who he is. Shame. It actually goes to show, like Peter calls it adequacies. It just
Well, Peter
highlighted
Quill
it
wasn't
even
raised in
more.
Wakanda.
Yo, dude, I have to also
Peter
give
Quill
another
wasn't raised in
tribute
Wakanda.
that instead of his show being called the Milano, it was called the Mandela.
Yeah,
And that was like a
yeah,
dope tribute right there as well.
yeah,
Plus, like he he,
yeah,
he he said he strongly sampled his accent of Madiba, of a younger Nelson Mandela.
yeah.
Um, I was a little bit disappointed that Chitaka didn't look more like John Carney.
Yeah, they should. I wish he looked more like John Carney
I
too.
know, right? Even if he had like John Carney's like a wonky eye,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know how
yeah.
he lost that eye?
How?
Police brutality.
Oh,
He literally stood up to the cops and they beat him so hard he lost his eye. I know
yeah.
it's not a story. It's not a story they generally share or he shares, but it's an interesting fact to know. Like you wear your scars with pride, type of thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, he acts so well that you forget about that eye. Like
Oh, I
honestly, I'll
needed to
see him on
mention. I
screen.
needed to mention during the apartheid era. I'm not saying he was just like messing with the cops and got beat up. He was fighting the regime.
Proviso. He was fighting for rights.
Yeah,
Yes, you have to.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the
yeah, yeah.
internet now is going to take things out of context and whatever. But no. That being said, man, What If was fantastic. I loved every character in What If. Also, I thought Yondu was awesome. I loved Nebula. Nebula was really dope. And like the running gag with Thanos was one of the funniest things that I've seen in a long time. Where he's just like, it would be way more effective if we just wiped out
Yeah.
half of the
But did
universe.
you see
And
like
everybody's like, "Oh my gosh!"
but it's like that all came full circle because um that tied into the plot line of the bigger story. Because the reason they went to the collector was to get, I think they called it the Genesis seeds or Genesis pods,
Yeah,
or
something like that.
and basically it was these. I don't know, what was it, crystals or powder or whatever that could grow crops.
Mm.
So Thanos' argument for wanting to create resources became mute.
Yeah, it
Just
did.
you see Chitala right there, just a little bit
Yeah,
of thinking.
and also him and Nebula, was this their plan? I love their plan though. Their plan was fire, and then
Yeah,
also that the fact that they left some of those seeds on the nowhere planet, so now it's this blossoming place with life and food and
exactly.
everything.
They
Yeah,
what
no,
was
I
it?
really. Someone said that is that the only thing it took to make the universe a better place is just to send to send T'Challa to space.
But technically it was because like
But then,
even
yeah,
there
sorry, go ahead.
they remained ravages. So
Yeah.
they still fulfilled the code. Yandu wasn't expelled now to the bad things from the Black
Oh,
Panther. Look,
okay.
I gotta point out a few things here and there. I know it was my favorite one as well, but there were a few things that did jump out as me as odd. Um, some of the dialogue was stilted. Um, what's the dude's name? The actor that's in everything DC, everything Marvel. That's it.
Oh, Rooker, Michael Rooker.
Yeah. Some of his dialogue was a bit stilted, and the massive change, like depowering Thanos like that, like turning him just into muscle. Like they, I get the idea of re-establishing leadership, and conceding to someone else. But I suppose it's maybe a bias that I have because we always see Thanos as a dude sitting on a throne or someone who's also got that nature. You just feel that he's a natural leader. Just
Mm,
type of mentality, and for him to be a follower was kind of weird. You feel like he'd have his own mini squad of people who's following him, type of thing. Um, but that was completely serviceable. It made completely sense in the context. But my biggest issue was Star Lord or Chitala forgiveness of Yandu went by very quickly.
yeah, no, I mean that's a big one. Also, I'll say that the Collector was not much of a villain. Like he was there for them to punch somebody. That's all he was there for.
Do you know what? That's actually something I can forgive because sometimes when like we write villains or I write villains and stuff, sometimes you just write them to punch.
No, but I mean, to your point about Yondu, I think Michael Rooker's not used to. I think he was not used to voice acting. So I think as it went on, he got better.
Yeah,
Because towards the end, his dialogue and the way he delivers his dialogue is much better than in the beginning.
yeah. I
And I mean, to your point about Thanos, I think they were just trying to emphasize that because he went straight, he didn't mod himself out, and he wasn't in this warlike persona.
yeah,
So while he was still quote unquote Thanos, he wasn't like the Thanos we saw in the MCU version that would just be destroying people
yeah.
because he didn't feel the need to mod himself out to make himself that strong since he
Hmm.
was going straight and going on this path with T'Challa. But I mean, that has been a criticism floating around on the internet. But like some people are chopping this episode to pieces. They're saying things like, "How would he know to be called Star Lord?" Because in the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like, man, shut up.
Yeah, it's like what if it would just come up? It's like if you were a ruler and you're doing good things in someone, people are gonna be, oh, you're a lord, you're my lord, like like oh my Star Lord. Um, the one
Nah,
kind of
man, those criticisms are valid though, but it's still my favorite What
yeah.
If episode so far.
In a weird way, there was also something heartfelt about the fact that like Gamora didn't show up in here, and in my head, it's
Mm.
like, shit. She grew up in a home village without her people being
Yeah.
destroyed. She lived a peaceful life on her own planet, getting to know her mother and stuff like that. She's not the universe's most deadly assassin, you know.
Ah, yeah.
So that was actually, I was like, oh, like even though she wasn't there, like that's what went through my head. It's like she's living a peaceful life.
No, me too. And then also Drax shows up, and that was funny because he's
Yeah.
working the bar. No, I think it was a brilliant episode.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a little bit. We got to talk the finale of Superman and Lois. So
Yeah.
that was episodes 14 and 15. Yeah, so I know it's blasphemy to include Marvel and DC in one episode, but we've done it before, guys. So we've got to do it again.
Look, you love all properties equal and evenly.
Yeah. So episode 14 and 15, I finally caught them. I still hold to the fact that I think the previous episodes, 12 and 13, were perfect for a finale. I don't think they needed these two episodes because they
Yeah.
were not bad, but they were very by the numbers for me. So I was like, you can push that stuff to season two. Because even if we look at like how they ended it, I was like, that's season two implications. Like, you don't need to have that at the tail end of season one, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
It's like they were forcing a lot more into it. I think they just wanted that final like closure, like the
Mm,
introduction of the Eradicator like that, with two episodes or with one episode to go. You know, like
yeah,
it, the build up didn't feel right.
yeah,
I would have rather seen what's his name? The dude who becomes the Eradicator. Um,
yeah. Edge.
Edge,
I just
Morgan
know him
Edge,
as Edge.
Morgan Edge. I would have rather seen him go like completely buck wild and go nuts. I literally thought he was gonna go to the sun and hyperpower himself and come back and be a beast.
Oh.
But to turn into that lame ass Eradicator, come on, man.
For me, like, he goes up to the sun. We're sitting at the sun, absorbs all that power. We go into season two. I think that was the perfect place to cut
Yeah,
it off. Because even the Jordan gets inhabited by an evil Kryptonian thing, that was kind of lackluster to me. I still think the actors did a great job, but I just think the material was like, eh.
yeah. I think
Like
I
they,
think it suffered from the CW effect at that very end bit. Like with Jordan, family will bring you back. You know, um,
yeah,
it was a nice moment with his twin brother holding him with John holding him, Jonathan holding him, and them fly. I would have loved it for season two if Jordan let go and Jonathan was floating there. That would have been dope.
yeah. I mean, I feel like they should do that. Like, you know what would be interesting if they actually gave each of them half of Superman's powers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like
Like
the
if
one,
Jonathan got, yeah, like Jonathan gets like the flight and stuff.
and
That
yeah,
would be
and the other
interesting
one gets like
to me.
I don't know, like the one of them gets like the tactile powers, and the other one gets like the hearing or the ice breath or something like
Yeah,
that, and the other one gets like heat vision. One has speed, and the other one has flight. You know, like
yeah, yeah,
and
something like that.
and they both get like limited super strength, but not like the full Superman level of super strength.
Yeah, I think that would have been a cool concept. Maybe they'll play with it next time. Maybe. I hope so in
But
season two.
but I do think the chemistry between those characters are great. Um,
Yeah.
Lois in these last two episodes, although often the actress is really good at playing a role, in a few places she became extremely whiny.
Mm.
And maybe I just get annoyed because sometimes when my wife talks to me like that, it's like it's like annoying. It's like she's talking. It's like she's talking down to me.
uh,
She gets
Man, I felt sorry for her dad because her dad was just trying to calm the situation down, and
yeah.
she was not happy. That was a rough spot, man. He was just like, "Yo, I'm trying to save the world and the universe here. What do you want?"
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like a make up your. He literally says that, but I like that they call out ideas like that in the show. It's like they call you out when you contradict yourself because it was like the last time I did this, you said this. Now I'm doing this. Now I want to protect my family. Now it's not good enough. Now I need to protect the world. What do you want?
And also another thing, Smallville can suck it because every time Morganite was there, nobody said nothing. Now when it goes sideways, now they have all the questions.
Now they have it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lois came and told y'all to ask questions. Nobody said anything. Now and then also the Cushing family, I felt so bad for them because
Yeah.
they were just going through it, and they still they still went to go save those people. Yo,
Yeah. The dad still went into the house to save the what's it, the burning building.
yeah, he even gets a Superman shot. Like they should have just had him floating with a cape and an S on his chest.
Look, I like there's some legit solid stuff in there. I did enjoy it. Um, they should have saved some budget for the finale. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think the special effects were the greatest. Um, some legit moments, some legit humanizing questions, some legit humanizing ideas. Um, compared to the Flash and maybe even Green Arrow, best CW show so far.
No, but easily. I felt like I fell off with the Green Arrow in season one. People said season one was the best one. I could not do it.
Oh,
And then
excuse
the
me,
Flash.
Arrow.
Oh, right, Arrow. Right. And then we get to the Flash. I like season one, two, and three, but after that I couldn't do it. Then I turned around and now they're Power Rangers. So
Dude, like
I
I don't know what happened. Like I think that's where everyone dropped off after season three. I think was that season four, the Godspeed arc, the first
yeah.
Godspeed arc. Then I caught a few episodes here and there where his future maybe daughter comes back, and
Mm.
then I was like, no, I can't, I
The
can't.
thing is, he's not even running anymore. Like that's the Flash's whole thing. And every time I see him, he's doing kung fu and karate, and he's throwing things. I'm
Look,
like, dude, you're called the Flash. Like your thing is to run. That's
look,
your thing.
there's something, and I don't know how much they touch on it. No, he's pretty OP in the comics, but like
Oh, ridiculously.
for a TV show like this, they should have added an element, and this is just me from my pseudoscience thinking when it comes around to people with powers. I like powers to have certain limitations or levels or things like that, so that when things can't be justified, then
Yeah.
then you're pushing it too far. Like Superman, a lot of stuff he doesn't do because he has to do things with kid gloves on. Like he can't kill a villain in
Uh,
one blow, even though he could. He doesn't do it
uh,
because you have to think about things around him. Flash is
uh.
so fast, he can run through time. He can bend space and time with his speed.
Well, technically, can't Superman do that too?
Comic book interpretations who give Superman limiters never push his powers that far, unless they really need to. But I think
Mm,
Superman's powers are more like tactile, like he's literally moving faster than he's breaking sound barriers and stuff by moving really fast. He's actually moving fast or at a high speed. Barry is a high speed combined with the speed force. So a lot of the things he
mm,
can do, generate electricity, throw lightning bolts, those kind of things, is because of the speed force. I hate the fact that
yeah.
unlike the early comics, the speed force used to be almost like a curse.
Mm,
like an allure. The more you tap into the Speed Force, the more you want to stay there. You don't want to leave it. You don't want to
mm,
exist in the present. So that's like the if they just had to add that to the Flash TV show, more strongly, like kind of focusing on that um, like Barry pulls some power from the Speed Force, so he stores it like a battery. When he runs, he uses it up, and so it takes that OP-ness away from him. He can still move fast, but when he needs to fight, he'd rather stand still and brawl or use his super speed at a limited level, at a lower level, because he doesn't want to gather more speed from the Speed Force because maybe it has some implication for him, like it's absorbing him more into that whatever it's called, into the Speed Force or something like that. Like
you
there's
need
a
to write for DC.
like like if there's a ramification for him using his speed at full power all the time. So if he
Yeah.
still has speed, but he has to use it in limited bursts, almost like a cheetah. Like a cheetah, if a cheetah runs more than 60 seconds, its heart can explode in its chest.
Ah,
And that's real biology. So if they had that kind of thing for Barry, that's why when he has to fight someone, he needs to stop. Like he can run to find a villain, but when he gets there, if he still has like my speed force meter or something like that, oh, I'm running out of speed force energy. I better go old school, and then it's fisticuffs. Because
mm.
why would anyone ever be able to shoot Barry with the arrow, point the gun at him? If he's looking for people, sometimes they spend like a whole season searching for people in the city. Barry can
Yeah,
move practically almost at the speed of light. He just search everywhere instantaneously.
yeah.
So
And don't get me started on Wally. Like Wally in the comics is one of the most broken characters I've ever seen. And he still gets hit. It doesn't make sense.
yeah.
Like DC, you all need to consolidate these power levels because like Wally, what did he do? Like he held a black hole in his no, like he held like a black hole in his hand because of the speed force and he like ran it through the city until it was like safe to release it or something. It was something crazy
Okay, I
like
don't
that. I don't know
remember
what.
that. The last crazy Wally thing is that Wally ran and moved so fast that even the Speed Force couldn't absorb him. That he managed to exist in another reality where he was erased from and replaced. And he managed to convince people that I'm also Wally West.
Yeah, he outran the speed force. I
He
didn't know you could
outran
do
the
that.
Speed Force. So, like,
I mean, I look. I think for me, that's one thing that I think DC just has a problem with in general with some of their characters is that like they just do things where it's just like you can't give them normal villains after that.
yeah,
Like you like what's this? I think where they balance it out pretty well is with the character like Shazam, because Shazam is
yeah,
usually fighting like magical type characters. But if you
yeah.
look at somebody like the Flash and his villain is Captain Cold, a dude who uses a freeze ray, that's not a challenge. That is
Come on,
just
Kato. Mr. Freeze makes the ground slippery and then you've got no traction. Even though,
he's
even though
Wally can swing his hands and create tornadoes and fly.
I've seen Flash run in space. He moves his feet so fast that he creates pockets of air
I
underneath him
remember that.
so he can run through space. But he'll slip on ice.
Yeah, I remember. Like he creates air pockets in his feet. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. No, I think that's another thing for me that I don't like with superheroes in general is you can't make them too strong for their environment or otherwise I kind of fall off with them.
yeah,
Which is what I love about this CW Superman show is that I never felt like Superman was stronger than the people he was fighting.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it gets towards the end where he just starts clocking Kryptonians in the last like 14 and 15, and you're just like, wait, what happened? But then I guess I can chalk that up to the fact that these guys don't have the X kryptonite. They just got their bodies, so maybe they're
Yeah,
not used to it like that.
not used to
Whereas
the.
Superman's been Superman for a long time or whatever. So, but I mean, yeah, I never felt like he was gonna overpower anybody,
Oh,
especially when they started introducing that X kryptonite stuff.
see, we're on the same wavelength. Like my whole rant was gonna get into that point.
Uh,
Yeah, even though the Superman still feels strong, he still feels like he can do all the things Superman does, but there's elements of the humanity, like people around him, or um, responsibility, and there's different things that nerve him in a way. Like he can't just go full out, and also like the experience he had a couple of episodes ago where they unlocked him, they made him evil, um, and he basically got to unleash, and he realized how much he enjoyed it, but the implications that means. So that means he's going to self control, or he's going to impose more self control on himself from that point, even going forward. One thing we forgot to mention was that finale moment, like.
yeah, just before we talk about that though, I just want to also say that another thing that I liked about this show is that the steel suit is kind of on par with Kryptonians as well.
Yeah.
So that was another thing I'd like to say. It didn't feel like it was Steel trying to keep up with Superman. It felt like in that suit he has as much power and as much ability as Superman. So I
See,
did like that aspect.
my problem with that suit is that it looked like a cosplay suit. It
Yeah,
really
it's
did.
not it's
Like,
not a nice
like
design.
I swear, no, no, no. I don't even mean that. I mean even the production value of it. Like,
Uh
I swear I can see the seams of the EVA foam that they made the suit with on the suit. You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like, like,
In some shots.
yeah. I didn't even feel silver, or it didn't feel like metal in some shot. It felt like it was foam painted to look like metal in some shots, and I don't mind it, but like, yo, this is your finale. Make your dude look like he's best, or make your characters and steal it.
That's the weirdest thing about this show. Like in earlier in the show,
It
his
was
suit looked
dope.
amazing.
I know. The pilot, the first 3 episodes, first four actually, had good budgets, dope special effects, like really good visuals
It's like it's so weird that they went in the reverse because I thought you want to up the budget towards the
to the
finale.
end.
And like the other thing is like I would have taken the finale of I would have taken the 2 episodes, the budget for these 2 episodes and pumped them into episode 13 and 12, I mean 12 and
Yeah.
13 and wrap up the season there because I thought that would be a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, when we
But like
still when we still thought that like Steel was Lex Luthor, his suit looks so dope to me. And now it's
yeah,
like at the end of it, it's like, is it the same suit, or was that suit CGI and this one was actual practical? Like, I think
no,
some
I
of it
think
you can
because I think
definitely see.
narratively it got damaged, so you had
Yeah,
to do it again.
so I had to
But like,
revolve it.
I think that because I think they would have gotten away with it if it was a better design. I just think the design that they had for it was not a great design to me because it looks too like the breastplating and the thing in the middle, whereas like that
Yeah,
one just looked like a full sheet, like it just
yeah,
looked like a full plate of armor, which I thought that was better than all of this like sinewy leather stuff. And
and
then
those
also
things.
there's as you say, the production value. You could see some of it in some shots. It was not so great, like the one where he throws the hammer and he knocks out the lady who before she kills Lois.
Yeah.
Like that shot was just like, ugh. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think the episodes were not bad. The actors did their thing, but at the same time, I just think it wasn't necessary for these last 2 episodes to be a thing. I
Yeah.
think they could have just pushed them to season 2.
Look, the cool thing was this reveal at the end. I hope in the future with the suit. I know I complained about this the last time. I really like the steel suit that like has like what looks like a face, like a
Mm,
like I don't know. There's something tribal about it. It looks like a mask or something. Like, even if it doesn't look completely like a human face, if it like just has like the
mm,
eye slits and what you would allude to be a nose and a mouth, almost like African masks, like
mm.
like Nerusa's mask in Kwezi. Like, if it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just
yeah.
just a thing like that with the suit around it, then it give that more steel feeling. Look, that's the one thing I must say about these actors from the CW, from this specific Superman show. They act well with their faces, with just expressions and looks. Because
Mm,
when Natasha Who knows where she came from? She must have followed the same multiversal hole or wormhole that her dad came through previously, and she lands on Earth, and like the emotion to her dad seeing her come out of the pod, like you feel the joy for the.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
when
They
she
got
looks
me with
at
that.
and when she looks around and you look at everyone's expressions, like you already know what Lois is thinking. Like, this is the daughter I could have had. Like, remember
Yeah,
she had that whole episode with the miscarriage episode, and the
yep.
girl looking hopefully at this Lois Lane like mom, and they cut it there. Like the emotional beat of that was actually quite a dope beat. Also, she makes a great steel herself. Like they've got like I like her design in the comics as well.
Mm.
She becomes the second generation Steel.
Oh,
In
okay, okay.
she
They're
wears like
gonna,
a suit and then she gets a more feminine version of it and stuff.
oh,
Pretty
so they're
dope.
gonna maybe they'll be looking into do something like that.
Yeah. But
You
hers
know,
gets
to,
made out of Kryptonian technology, so
oh, so they're making like a Superman, the Super Family or something like that. Is
yeah.
that what you think for
Yeah, I'm
season two?
thinking, but we'll see. Maybe she just stays like the tech wizard. Maybe that's the key to his new suit, because technically she's the engineer, or she's the smart out of the two.
Because he's more of a soldier than he is an engineer.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's good at building weapons. She's better at building tech.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So
comic
okay,
comic.
something to learn.
Yeah, in the comic book background, he went into exile, or he because he built these guns, the specs for these like laser style plasma guns called Toastmasters. I still remember that from the old graphic novels, the Death of Superman graphic novels. He created these weapons called Toastmasters, um, which were black market, like high powered plasma rifles. And then the specs leaked, and people thought he was selling it for money. So he had to go into hiding so that the authorities
Mm,
wouldn't find him.
mm.
And then after,
Oh,
and that's why he was working in
yeah, yeah.
construction under a fake name.
Oh yeah, no, you told me about this.
Yeah,
I remember this now. Okay. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I don't think they were bad. I think they were all right. I think they were two good, solid episodes. I just didn't think they needed them to end the series. I think, having Morgan Edge in the sky, he absorbed the sun, becomes the Eradicator. I think that was enough. And then people could be like, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen in season two now? They have to deal
yeah,
with the Eradicator. What's the Eradicator gonna be?" And then they would have had more time to flesh the Eradicator out. Because I think something that CW does is they cram a lot of stuff into very few episodes.
yeah,
Like I saw that with Green Arrow. Like Green Arrow season one, he fought like six villains before the thing was up, and I was just like, this is feeling very villain of the week. And like with something like Superman, where they took time to set everything up to give it such a lackluster finish to such a villain, and also they need to explain. Because I thought that when we started getting to the episodes, when they get into the background of Morgan Edge, that he became a solidified villain to me. Like
yeah.
I really liked him, and then they just kind of gave him this lackluster ending. So
I
I think
Yeah, if they want to kill off Edge, I would kind of do a Flash thing with him. Like that's the one Flash concept I take away. Like what they do with Professor Zoom. What's his name? Um,
uh Reverse Flash. That's what I remember.
yeah, the dude
Eobard
that
Thorn. Eobard Thorn. There we
Ichabod
go.
Thorne. What they kind of do with that actor, they keep bringing him back as a different variation. With Morgan
Ah,
Edge, what I would do is like they do set it up here that he goes to be the Eradicator,
yeah.
and then they kind of they take him out and they capture him and stuff and whatever. But if they bring him back, they should bring him back as a badass version of the Eradicator and literally put him in the Eradicator suit and everything, and just
And
like
have him actually be a darker version of Superman who saves
exactly.
people, but he does it in a crazy. Okay.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with no humanity, stripped of the humanity, with this, like a completely cold perspective, because Edge still had likable traits. He still had
Yeah,
redeeming qualities.
yeah. But that's the other thing they gotta explain because according to the episode, they say that once you become the Eradicator, you're supposed to be gone. Like your consciousness is
It's
supposed to be
supposed to be
destroyed.
gone. Yeah, but I think Superman and or his team, his family, learned how to pull your essence or bring your essence back to the front. You or
So do you think they
bring
did
it
that
out
with
of you,
Edge?
because they managed to do it to Jordan, and by him being humiliated and Clark calling out to him and saying we were brothers, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, they just knocked the Eradicator out of him. Maybe the Eradicator just went dormant to take over
I
his
hope
mind
so.
completely. Just look up, like Google search images of the Eradicator and check how badass, how dope he actually looks. He looks like a kind of twisted version of Superman, but not Bizarro. Like just
Mm.
twisted. Yeah, but he's a dope character. I like him.
All right, maybe they'll include him in season 2 because they need to explain how Edge came back because I was still confused on that. But anyway, with that being said, I guess unless you got something else to add about the episodes
No, no,
and
no.
themselves and the
It's
show.
weird. It's like, again, it's like the show, like I was saying about the Eternals. I kind of feel like I watch it for entertainment, but like I
Mm,
have no reason to watch season two except for entertainment. But maybe we're getting spoiled by shows that leave us with like massive cliffhangers where you have to see the next thing. They didn't leave me, and I think
oh,
that's the point you were also trying to make. The cliffhanger wasn't strong enough. The fact that Natasha Irons landed on the Kent farm is like, I don't even know the characters. I'm not invested. I don't really give a shit about her. So I don't know if I
mm,
want to. I will tune in for season two to watch and see where it's going. But there's like no villain on the horizon. There's no threats left to worry about. They didn't really leave a massive um, cliffhanger for the second season. I was like,
that's what I'm saying though.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go watch Clark and his family be a family on the farm, learning how to be farmers, how to grow corn. Like, is that what I'm looking forward to in season two?
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of potential for season 2, and I still
Yeah,
think the writing, like the fact that this is a CW show produced by HBO, which is why it looked so good
I
for
think
so
that's why
long.
it's better. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where CW took over. Maybe towards the end, because like
maybe.
the first half was way stronger than the
Look, I
second half.
also think I also think our pandemic has a big part to play in all of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And getting actors on time, and
yeah.
shooting, and maybe getting CG artists to deliver on time and stuff
Mm,
like that. Like,
yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of things, and especially if you put out half of your season, it's not feasible to delay the next episode for too long. I think
yeah,
they 2 weeks was the max, or what was it? 4 weeks. 2 weeks was the max you can kind of, without offending your fans, delay an episode.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I just think that they should have pushed these 2 episodes to season 2. I
Yeah,
think 12 and 13 was strong enough. I mean, I know the action was kind of lackluster, but they were strong enough story wise that we would have been like, oh my god, what's the Eradicator gonna do? What's
but
the Eradicator
exactly,
gonna be?
exactly. If that was the last shot with the Eradicator floating in space and you see his eyes powering up, like that would be a dope. I'll be like, oh snap, I need to watch season two.
Yeah, yeah.
You
But
know?
I'm gonna check it out because this has been the first thing Superman like that I've been interested in a long time. So I gotta give him kudos for that. And I do want to see where they go with it for season 2. So I'm gonna be reviewing it all the same, even though the videos are not catching the views that I want them to catch.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're
Yeah,
doing we're
yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah.
it
But
with
I still
passion.
think
We're doing it for
yeah, I
passion.
still think that it was a pretty good run for Superman, and I think the cast that they have did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think that
On
brings us
on
to our honest
DC,
part. Oh,
on
sorry, go
DC,
ahead.
just one note. We don't need to talk about it. I just want to throw it out there. Um, Potentially check out Titans. There's 4 episodes out. We can talk about it sometime in the future. Not the greatest show, but I am enjoying it. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right. I guess then it means I'm gonna have to binge season 1, 2, and 3.
Haven't you followed?
Nah, I when I saw the trailer and he's all like F Batman, I was like, oh
Damn,
my
damn, damn.
god.
um,
But I'll if you say you want to check it out and you want to talk about it in the future, I'll definitely catch up, and then before season 3 ends, we can just have a whole blowout discussion about Titans.
no, I think they only do like 8 to 12 episodes a season. It's not that many
Okay, I
episodes,
can get through that.
but it's about an
Yeah,
hour,
yeah, two
40,
weekends.
44 minutes an episode.
Yeah, that'll be 2 weekends. I can get through that.
Yeah,
All right.
not bad.
Okay then. I think with that being said, that brings us to our artist spot. So my artist spot for today, you know this guy very, very well. He has inked for DC.
Oh yeah,
he
boo,
sketched
boo.
he's, he sketched for DC. He worked with
Responsible
you
for a lot of
on
this artwork.
and he's one of the main artists for Kwezi. My artist spot today is Loiso Mkize. There he is. There they are. There they are. The crazy boys. Yes, that's a beautiful print. That's a beautiful photo, man. Yeah. So my artist spot is for him. I've been a fan of this guy since high school. Him and your names were floating around in high school in the zeitgeist when I didn't know what comic books were, and then, well, I mean, I know what comic books were, but South African comic books in particular. I didn't know we had comic books in South Africa until I saw Super Strikers, and then I read that from issue 1 all the way up to, I think my last one was like issue 120 or something like that, because I always used to collect the Sunday paper, Sunday
Yeah,
Times,
yeah.
somewhere there. Yeah, so that's where I always used to get them from. I even tried to draw Twisting Tiger in high school, and it was bad.
I literally got my job at Striker because I did fan art, but I didn't do like Twisting Tiger. I did like what was he? Howling Wolf.
Yeah.
Also like a redhead character. And my boss was like, oh, my ex boss was like, is this Twisting Tiger? So I was like, well, he's loosely based off Twisting Tiger. He's like, oh, okay. Call back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can come in and come work.
Yeah, no, but I mean, him and your team basically, you like y'all have been the blueprint that I'm even following for my own book. So I definitely did at some stage want to give him a shout out, and I didn't have I didn't get to research my artist spot, but yeah, he was the first one that came to mind.
I
So please
am
go check him out. There's links in the bio, and he's a great guy, Louis Kize. Even
Loisum
though he
Kize,
gave him the
no
thumbs down.
H, no H in Mkize.
Uh-huh.
If you want to search him and also check out some of his other stuff or our stuff at Kwezi underscore Flyboy. Sorry, I'm just self promoting here.
No, I'll put the link in the bio. I'll put the link in the bio as well for Quasi
I
underscore
don't know if I
Flyboy.
look that way, but I feel so old. Oh, you've been following us since high school.
Yeah.
I started working at Striker way back in 2011. That's like 10 years ago. Jeez. Um, yeah, my artist spot is like you. Actually, I mentioned him earlier. Homie called Sizo.
Mm.
Cyzo. I think on Instagram is Sizo22. Dude's
Okay, let me
been
see if I can find him.
the guy's
Five.
been a massive, massive Quasi supporter since the get go. Since where we got with Quasi was still a dream. Since before it was like discovered. Um, he's
Ooh, I'm
been
seeing some of his stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. I'm sure you've seen it around. Um,
No, I mean, like, I just followed it. I just dropped him a follow now, and I'm seeing some of his stuff.
his his
Man, I'm
styles
jealous.
his styles evolving. He won back in the day one of our early issues. If you still buy that issue, um, his art will be his art is actually featured in one of our Quasi collector's editions. Because he won a
Which
competition.
one? The first one.
Sorry, I think it's the
Is it the
second.
first one?
I think it's the second collector's edition.
I'm gonna go look for it now.
We have a little spot where we kind of shout out to him. He did some like chibi quasi characters and stuff, which were fantastic.
Oh, that was him.
That
Okay, no,
was
I know what you're
him.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's got some
Oh,
like
that's so
dope,
cool.
crazy, chibi things. He was like probably like I promise, like he was probably one of our first fan art things we got, and then we still get like top quality fan art as well. You know what I mean? So it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
We've stayed friends. We chat every now and then just to catch up. But he's also he started out like you, where he was kind of like, I'm not gonna undermine the guy. He was kind of insecure about his art in the beginning. He was up and coming. Now he's doing big stuff. Guys involved with great things, doing album covers, working for various agencies, doing different things. I've seen animations pop up here and there. He's involved with storyboarding music videos and stuff. So, it's like he just kept pumping, he kept driving, and like he's probably more busy than me. Like so big
I
ups to
doubt that.
Sizo.
I doubt that.
So big ups to
I
Sizo,
doubt that. Man. Ah, man, thanks for putting me on. Like, I guess I got another person to study
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually
And like
looking at some of his stuff as well.
chat to him, holler at him. Is like he's super cool, easy to talk to. I'm sure he'll answer questions and say like, "Yo, Clyde sent me away to chat about things." I think it'll be dope.
Yeah, all right. And with that being said, Meisterville, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you, Clyde, again for being here on the show. Please hit that like, that share, that subscribe if you want to see more content and all of that stuff. Especially if you're at this point in the video. Thank you so much for getting to this point in the video. You are spectacular. And me and Clyde will see you in other episodes because we have to be out.
Cool.
Peace.
Yeah.